This conference will now be recorded.
Hi all, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the demo session of the exclusive training provided by Isha Training Solutions. The name of the training is Mobile Application Performance Testing with JMeter and LoadRunner. My name is Chandra and I'll be your trainer for these training sessions. So, we are going to see how to do the mobile application performance testing with JMeter and LoadRunner. Most of the performance test engineers are acquainted with web applications, web services and all, and they do not face challenges. However, when it comes to mobile application performance testing, it is a bit of challenging, right? And nowadays more and more customers, more and more clients are looking for mobile application performance testing because everyone wants to be in the space of mobile applications. Hence, this course has been exclusively designed by Isha Training Solutions to, help the performance testers, performance test engineers to gain experience on mobile application performance testing, which will help in, better delivery in their projects. So before we start the training, some ground rules. So whenever the training is in progress, whenever the session is in progress, I'll request everyone to be on mute. Whenever you have any queries, please unmute yourself and ask your questions. You can ask as many questions as you require. So the sessions are really going to be interactive. The sessions, each and every session will be recorded and you are going to have the lifetime access. Okay, you're going to have the lifetime access to the videos of the sessions. We are going to use the exclusive mobile application developed by Isha Training Solutions, and yes, the mobile application will also be shared with you all. And the documents, whatever documents I'm going to show, so that also is going to be shared with you all from the training. So any queries from anyone before we start? Okay, so that sounds good. So let us start the session for today. So first I'll take you through the course curriculum. So what all different topics we are going to cover as part of this training, and then we'll dive into the demo session. So let me start sharing my screen. I hope my screen should be visible to all of you. So the name of the training is Mobile Application Performance Testing using LoadRunner and JMeter. The topics which we are going to cover as part of this training is like introduction to mobile application performance testing. So what is mobile application performance testing? Why is it required? What are the challenges and all those things I'm going to discuss. Then what are the different types of mobile applications? We have different types of mobile applications. So all those different types of mobile applications we are going to discuss. For web applications, we have different key performance indicators, right? So when it comes to mobile application performance testing, what are the key performance indicators which you should look for? What are the requirements for mobile application performance testing? Whenever we are going to do the mobile application performance testing, what are the different requirements? Then for every project we have some challenges, right? For every task we have some challenges. Similarly, for mobile application performance testing, what are the key challenges that we are going to look into? Then we are going to do the walkthrough of the mobile application which has been exclusively developed by Isha Training Solutions for the training. We are going to have a walkthrough of the mobile application, and then we are going to see how to document the transaction flow. We are going to see the transaction flow documentation, which is basically a step in the performance testing process. So it will help you, not only for mobile application, but for other applications as well. Then we are going to see the test script recording with JMeter. Okay, we are going to see the test script recording with JMeter using the test script recorder. Sorry. Then we are going to see the customizations of the test script which we develop. So first we are going to see how to do the correlation in JMeter, and then how to do the parameterization in JMeter. Once our test script is developed, we are going to see the test execution and analysis in JMeter. Then we dive into the test script recording with LoadRunner using Web HTTP HTML protocol. Then the test script customization. So the correlation we are going to see in LoadRunner as well, and then parameterization in LoadRunner as well. Here I'm also going to show you that because in LoadRunner we have another protocol known as the true client protocol. So how can we record our test scripts using the true client protocol in LoadRunner? Then we are going to see the test execution and analysis in LoadRunner, and then we are going to see how can we do monitoring. Okay, how can we do monitoring for mobile applications using application performance monitoring tools. Then I'm going to show you how to do the test execution in JMeter with bandwidth throttling. Okay, with bandwidth throttling, how can we do the test execution in JMeter, that I'm going to show. And then we have the test report documentation. Okay, so these are the different topics which we are going to see as part of this training. We are going to learn them, we are going to go through them as part of this training. So any queries, anyone? Any queries, anyone?
I'm having one query.
Sir.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, please tell
Yes,
me.
please.
For profiling and monitoring, whether for mobile performance testing, we are going any other specific tools?
So I'll tell you how to do the application performance monitoring in Dynatrace.
Okay. Apart from Dynatrace, is there any apps suggested in market?
Yeah, there are commercial tools, there are open source tools. I'll guide you during those
Okay.
sessions.
Okay, sure.
So will this be a API testing or we are testing a mobile app?
This is a mobile application.
Okay, so we'll be basically testing from mobile, right? Not the API testing.
Yes. No, this is for mobile. Are there any other queries?
Sir, whatever the protocols you mentioned just now, Web HTTP and True Client Protocol, is that in terms of mobile application, right?
Yes, this is for mobile application. Everything which we are
Okay.
going to do, we are going to do for mobile application.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries, anyone? Okay.
Is there
So I
any
think
possibility? Is there any possibility
it'll.
to change the timings of the classes to evening like that?
I have
Like,
to check that with my team. I'll check with my team and come back.
yeah, and if everyone is interested so far.
Yeah, actually,
Oh,
after consultations only we have decided for this morning batch. I'll check with my team on that. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Okay, thanks.
Any other queries? Okay, so we'll start with the session for today. Now, what is performance testing, guys, right? So we are going to see the introduction to the mobile application performance testing. So before that, what is performance testing, right? What is performance testing? Why do we do performance testing? So performance testing is basically one type of non-functional testing. Okay, it is a technique for non-functional testing of different softwares. Now we do functional testing, we do non-functional testing. In functional testing, we verify the functionality of the application. But in non-functional testing, the primary objective is not to verify the functionality. We have different types of non-functional testing like performance testing, site reliability testing, the security testing, browser compatibility testing, accessibility testing. In all these different types of testing, our objective is not to verify the functionality, rather the other aspects of the application. So in performance, performance testing is again a software testing technique, but to do the non-functional testing. Okay. Now what do we do in performance testing, guys? Our primary objective in performance testing is to measure the speed of the application, whether we are testing the web application, whether we are testing the APIs, whether we are testing the mobile application. Our objective is to measure the speed of the application, right? Our objective is to measure the speed of the application. So how fast the application is going to respond. Also, along with the speed, stability matters. Stability matters. So my application would be responding very fast, but for a shorter duration of time. When it is used for longer durations, the stability of the application is not there, guys. For example, then I cannot say that my application is having good performance. Clear all of you? If my application is not stable, I cannot say that my application is having good performance. So speed matters as well as stability matters. Now, I'm sorry, any customer, any business, right? For whomever we are working or we are delivering the projects, for them it is a business. Now today they have, let's say, 100 customers or 100 users. Tomorrow, or like 1 year down the line, 2 year down the line, they will not have, they will always have the objective to increase the number of users, right? The footfall of the users should increase on their application. That will be their objective, because that is going to increase their profit. Now, if they have that in their mind that the customer footfall should increase, the user footfall should increase, their application should also be able to cater to that increased volume, right or not? The application which they have developed for their users, that particular application should also be able to cater to the increased volume or increased load. So that factor is called as scalability. My applications should not only support the current volume, but along with the current volume, it should also support my future volumetric volumetric. So whenever there is an increase in the load, the applications should be scalable. Okay, so this is our scalability. Responsiveness. Now this is very much applicable to a mobile application. This is very much applicable to a mobile application. Other factors are also applicable to mobile application, but they are also applicable to web application. But responsiveness is a factor which is basically applicable to mobile application. Whenever I'm using any mobile application, right? Whenever I'm using any mobile application, the application should be responsive. The application should be responsive. It should be user friendly. Okay. The application should not get, hanged. It should not stop working. Whenever I'm trying to do any user action on the mobile application, it should respond fast. So responsive is also an important factor in the mobile application. Remember guys, why mobile application performance testing is important? Because if the performance of the mobile application is not good, the users are going to jump to their competitors, to some other mobile application, because in any category you take, any domain you take, there are so many competitors in the market, right? So if we do not like any particular company, if we do not like any particular mobile application, we have so many other options. And the internet users are very much impatient today, right? So as soon as they find any application which is not responsive, as soon as they find any application which is not having good performance, they will quickly jump to its competitor. This is going to heavily impact our customer because their end users are jumping to their competitors. Everyone wants to increase their user footfall. Okay, and it is not that easy to increase your customer footfall, and even if we succeed in increasing, to maintain that customer footfall is also equally important. So these are the different things which we measure during the performance testing. Any queries, anyone? Any queries, anyone? Okay, then we are going to see what are our goals. What are our goals? Okay, the goal basically is to evaluate. Our goal is basically to evaluate. What are we going to evaluate? The mobile application which we are going to test as part of the performance testing, we want to evaluate the output of that application. We're going to evaluate the output of that application. Okay, processing speed, how fast that application is going to process our requests. Whenever the user is making requests, how fast the mobile application is going to process those requests. Okay, so we are going to measure, or we are going to evaluate the processing speed as well. Data transfer velocity. So whenever you are performing any user actions, right, your mobile application is installed on your device, but whenever you are doing any user action, you are going to interact with the server. So your server is located in some of the data center, right? So the data transfer will happen between your mobile application and the server. The speed also matters here. The speed at which the data transfer takes place, that is going to matter. It will also depend on the type of network your mobile device is in. That is why, if you remember, I have given one topic, test execution with bandwidth throttling. So whenever we have different mobile networks, the data transfer speed will differ. Okay, so our goal should also be to evaluate the data transfer velocity of the mobile application. Maybe you can do that in different networks, right? Network bandwidth usage. Whenever I'm using the mobile application, how much network bandwidth is getting used? Okay, whenever I'm using any mobile application, how much network bandwidth is getting used? That is also very much important, because if my mobile application is using higher network bandwidth, it is also not good. Okay, so there should be optimal use of the network bandwidth as well. So we should also be trying to evaluate what is the network bandwidth usage. What are the maximum concurrent users? What is the maximum number of concurrent users which my mobile application is going to support? Now, who can tell me what is a concurrent user? What are concurrent users? Anyone?
Maximum users accessing the application at the same time.
Perfect. So the number of users accessing the application at the same time are known as the concurrent users. They might not be doing the same transaction at the same time. Very, very important, guys. Concurrent users might not be doing the same transaction at the same time, but they all are accessing the application at the same time. Now, what did I say about maximum? So, as rightly mentioned, so the maximum number of users or concurrent users basically which the application can, that we have to evaluate. Memory utilization. Now the mobile application, is installed on our device. So our goal should also be to evaluate how much memory is being utilized on our device by the mobile application which we are developing. As part of a project, the mobile application which is getting developed, how much memory utilization is happening. On the server side, definitely we are going to find out, right, the memory utilization. That is our standard process. But from mobile application performance testing point of view, it is also very necessary that you check that when the mobile application is in use, when the mobile application is in use, what is your memory utilization of the device as well. So here we have to find out the memory utilization of the device and the memory utilization of the servers. Okay. Workload efficiency. What is the workload, guys? What is the workload?
Um, Workload is the number of users and the transactions calculation based on the business requirement. Provide the numbers. Basically,
Okay.
test execution. To do the test, we need to uh, have the numbers of number of transactions per hour. To design the test, we need this workload modeling.
Okay. Anyone else wants to answer? What is workload? Okay. So whenever we are going to do performance testing, we are going to apply some load on the system, right? Whenever we are going to do the performance testing, we are going to apply some load on the system, some load on the servers. Now that load which we are putting, that load will do some certain work, guys. It will do some certain work. But we are going to define the pattern in which the load is going to do the work on the system or on the servers. How exactly? We are going to define what will be the number of users based on the requirements, guys. Whatever requirements we are going to get from the customer, based on that, right? Based on that, we are going to define that what are the total number of users with which we are going to do the test. Now those all users, how are they going to ramp up? In what duration they are going to ramp up? Once all of them have ramped up, okay, with how much time or what is my required throughput? What is my required throughput? So based on that, I'll design my workload, guys. I have to achieve a particular throughput with a particular load of users. So how to achieve that? How to achieve that? So for that particular purpose, I'll design my workload. Are you able to follow me, guys? So for that particular purpose, I'll design my workload. Now whatever workload I have designed, how is my application catering to that? How is my application catering to that? Whether it is able to handle it, guys. So in short, what is the workload efficiency of my application? What is the workload efficiency of my application? Clear, all of you? Any queries, anyone? So these are the different goals, guys. These are the different goals for our mobile application performance system. Also, whenever we are providing any user action, right, or user command, basically we can say, what is the response times? What is the response times for the different inputs which we are providing? What is the response time? Very, very important, right? Now we'll come to some of the common terminologies. So any queries, anyone on the goals? Any queries, anyone on the goals? Okay. So coming to some of the common terminologies which we use in performance testing, very, very important, guys. Virtual user, virtual user. Remember, the user which is going to do the transactions in a real application or a real user, right? So we as users use different internet applications, we use different mobile applications, so we are real users. But during our performance testing, we are going to do the execution with the help of different performance testing tools. We are going to do the with the different performance testing tools. At that point of time, let's say I'm saying that I have to do test with 1000 users. So does that mean I will invite 1000 physical users to my office or to my setup, and then I'll ask all of them to occupy one desk, and then start the user flow transactions at the same time. No, that is not what I'm going to do. Rather, I'm going to do the test with virtual users. Virtual users means they are not real users, but they will behave, they will do the actions similar to the real users, right? So whatever scenario or whatever user flow we are going to do the performance testing for, those will be conducted by the virtual users. Now whatever tool you are going to use, the tool will have the capability, to generate the virtual users, so that those virtual users can be injected into the system. So the performance testing tool which we are going to use, it will generate the virtual users. May it be JMeter, may it be LoadRunner, may it be new load. So all these different tools are capable of generating virtual users. Response time, very important guys in performance testing, right? So everyone will be looking for this particular metric. Everyone will be looking for this particular metric. So what is my response time for different transactions? What is the response time? Now it is applicable to web application, it is applicable to APIs. Similarly, it is also applicable to our mobile application. During mobile application performance testing, we have to find out the response time for different transactions. Clear, all of you? Throughput, another important factor, guys, or parameter. Throughput. What is throughput? Now, whenever the different users are using one application, right? Or they are using any web application, they are using web services, or they are using any mobile application. So whenever they are using any mobile application, they are doing some transactions on the application, right? They're doing some transactions on the application. So those transactions we will call it as user actions. So user actions will be conducted on the mobile application by the different users. So when user actions will be conducted, the requests will go from the client to the server, right? Requests will go from client to the server. Now when these requests, and they will be concurrent users, right? That will not be one user or two users, right? There will be so many concurrent users. So the requests would be going to the server from all those concurrent users, right? The request would be going from all the concurrent users to the server. So the server has to process those requests. The server has to process those incoming requests, right? So the speed or the amount of requests processed by the server, per unit time. So if I say in 1 second how many transactions are getting processed, that will be my TPS. In 1 hour how many transactions are getting processed, that will be TPH, transactions per hour. So that is why it depends, like which time frame you are taking. So throughput is basically the amount of requests processed by the server per unit time. It can be hours, it can be seconds, it can be minutes. Okay, but in general, in most of the cases, it is in seconds. Throughput is expressed in seconds. TPS, throughput per second, or transactions per second. Okay. Request. What is a request? So whenever the user is going to do any user action on the mobile application, right? Whenever the user is going to do any user action on the mobile application. Now what is user action, guys? So whenever you are hitting any URL or you are doing any navigation, so when that particular user action is resulting in a request going to the server, right? So whenever the user is doing any user action and then a request is originated and that request goes to the server, okay? So that is basically our request. Response. Now when there will be a request going to the server will process that request, right? All of you, the server will process that request. Now when the server processes that request, it will produce a response. Now whenever you are using any application, you are giving any URL, right, and hitting the enter, then you are getting one particular page on your browser, on your system, right? So that particular is the response. Now let's say you hit the login URL. When you hit the login URL, and then after some time you will see that you will have a page where you have the username, you have the password page, sorry, you have the password field, you have the username field, and login button. So that is the response which the server provided to you for the login request which you made to the server. Are all of you getting me? Okay, so that is the response. Then we have transaction. Whenever any user action is resulting in an interaction with the server, okay, whenever any user action is resulting in an interaction with the server, that particular one we can call it as transaction. Okay, that particular user action we can call it as transaction, right? So there will be interaction with the server. So when I say transactions, then I say about transactions per second, means how many transactions are happening per second. Which we have already discussed that it is also known as throughput. Guys. Okay. Then iteration. Who can tell me what is the difference between iteration and transaction? Anyone? What is the difference between iteration and transaction?
Iteration is nothing but repeating the same process from end to end, whereas transactions is only in between one page to other page, or from one functionality to the other functionality.
Okay. Any other answers? Okay. So whenever you have your scope for your performance testing, right, you will have some scenarios in scope for your performance testing, or we can say the user flow or the business flow, right? So whenever we have any scope for performance testing, we will have different user flows or user scenarios or business flows. So one complete user flow, guys. Let's say you have a scenario where you have to launch the application, you have to log in into the application, you have to search for a product, then you have to purchase that product, and then you have to sign out. So this launching, logging in, searching the product, purchasing the product, signing out, all these are part of one user flow. So from launching to log out, that makes my one complete user flow, guys. So one complete user flow is basically one iteration. Remember this. One complete user flow is basically one iteration. So what is iterations per second? So per second, how many iterations are happening? Per second, how many iterations are happening? Now, what is this transaction and the difference between transaction and iteration? Iteration is basically your complete user flow. One iteration means one complete user flow. But transaction, guys, your transactions, your multiple transactions make up your user flow. Your user flow can consist of multiple transactions that I have already explained. What is a transaction? Any user action that results in an interaction with the server is called as a transaction. So multiple transactions result in one iteration. Are all of you clear? So iterations per second means how many iterations are happening per second. How many iterations are happening per second? Okay. Next, think time. Very, very important, guys. Who can tell me what is think time? Now, whenever a real user is using the application and they are doing different user actions, as soon as one user action is completed, do they go to the next user action instantaneously, or there can be some delay? What is the case, guys? When one user action is performed, will a real user do the next user action right away, or there can be some delay in between the different user actions?
Some delay.
There will be some delay between the user actions because the user normally takes some time to think what they are going to do next. Okay. Now, in performance testing, our major objective is to simulate the real user behavior. We have to simulate the real user behavior. So if we have to simulate the real user behavior, we have to take into consideration this elapsed time between different transactions, or the time delay, right? The time delay between different user transactions. So that delay between the user transactions is called as the think time. That delay between the user transactions is called as the think time, guys. Okay. Pacing. So we already told that what is an iteration, right? One complete user flow is your iteration. Now during load testing, or during stress testing, or during endurance testing, or any other performance testing, you do not do only one iteration. Remember this, right? Because your test will run for, let's say, 1 hour or 2 hours, and your complete user flow is happening or completing in let's say 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So what to do for 2 hours, right? So you will have multiple iterations happening. You will have multiple iterations happening during the entire duration of the load test. Okay. Now during that duration of your load test, if there are going to be multiple iterations and you want to provide some delay between the iterations, you want to provide some time delay between the iterations, then that is called as pacing, guys. That is called as pacing. Okay, so remember, think time is the time delay between the transactions, but pacing is the time delay between the iterations. If you do not have any queries, can you please go on mute? So if you have time delay between the transactions, it is your think time. If you have time delay between your iterations, that is your pacing. Okay. Next, network latency. Network latency. Network plays a major role in the performance, guys. Higher the network bandwidth, better is the performance. Lower the network bandwidth, lower is the performance, right? Now, what is this network latency? Because of the network, okay, because of the network, is there any deviation in the response time? Okay, non-functional requirement, very, very important, guys. Non-functional requirement. So performance testing is a type of non-functional testing. Whenever you do functional testing, you get functional requirements, right? Similarly, in non-functional testing, now our focus is on performance testing, right? So for performance testing also, you are going to get different requirements, and they are your non-functional requirements. Based on those non-functional requirements only, you are going to validate your test results. Based on those non-functional requirements only, you are going to validate your test results. Clear? So that is your non-functional requirement. Our objective should always be to get the non-functional requirements from the customer. Okay, from the customer. Okay. Then test script and test scenario. Test script and test scenario. So what is this test script? Okay. Now, whenever you have different user flows, right? Whenever you have different user flows, those user flows you have to automate basically. Or those user flows we have to develop the test script for. Now, we do not write manual test cases in performance testing. Okay. We develop the test script for our user flow. Okay. So based on the total number of user flows, your number of test scripts will differ. Okay. Now what is the scenario? People do not get confused with scenario and user flow. User flow, sometimes we call it a scenario, but in this case, test scenario, when I say, it is basically my execution profile, that with how many users I'm going to do the test. What is the ramp up period? Means within how much time the users will load on the system. What is the ramp down period? Within how much time the users will come out of the system. For how long the test duration will be there, means for how long the test execution will happen. Okay, and then all the users, will I load it, in the first instance itself, or I want to have a stepwise manner. So many different things are there. So you're basically how you are going to execute your test, your profile, execution profile, is known as your test scenario, right? Is known as your test scenario. Clear, all of you? Then load generator. Load generator. In performance testing, our main objective is to generate the load, to have a load on the application and then do the testing to find out the performance of the application, right? So what is this load generator? Load generator is basically a machine, guys. It is a system, right? It is a system on which you will have your performance test tool installed, and that tool is going to generate the users. virtual users, right? So the virtual users will be generated from the load generator machine, guys, using the performance testing tool. Okay, the number of virtual users required for your test will be generated from the load generator machine using the performance testing tool, and then injected into your servers, Clear? So with this, we'll stop the demo session for today. We'll resume in the next one. Thank you all for joining. Have a good one.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please tell me.
So when we are doing this practical thing, are there any demo applications going to use on mobile?
So for this, for this demonstration, for this practical demonstration, I have already told we have exclusive mobile application developed by Isha Training Solutions. It is not
Okay,
going to be any sample application. We have our exclusive mobile application which we are going to use for this training.
okay. And what about is there any requirement like it has to be an iOS or Android, or it could be
So
either
for
the
now it
mobile?
is an Android application.
So for complete classes also based on the Android,
Yes,
the
the
process.
practical demonstrations will be based on Android application. However, I'll also tell you the steps for recording with iOS application as well.
Okay,
Because
is it
once you
completely
because
different?
the difference will be in the recording, right? So
Yeah.
once the recording is there, your steps will be the same. So how to record and all, I'll tell you for iOS application as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
one question is basically you'll be recording on the mobile app, right? So because mobile app has some API calls, so you basically will not take that API and test it in JMeter. You basically will be
I will be
invoking the
doing
mobile.
I'll be doing the user actions on the mobile application, and they will be getting recorded using JMeter. I'll not be taking those APIs into JMeter.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries, anyone?
For the monitoring purpose, are we also going to focus on client side, that is on mobile, or it's only on the
Yes,
server side
I'll focus on the client side metrics as well.
using Dynatrace?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other queries, anyone? Okay. So thank you all for joining the demo session. Thank you for taking your time and joining the demo session on the training mobile application performance testing with JMeter and LoadRunner. Thank you all.